Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm here with Jeff Newcorn, founder and president of R. Jeffrey. R. Jeffrey works with restaurant franchises to help them get the most tax credits for their businesses. Today, we're going to focus and talk about the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, or the WOTC program. Jeff, it's really nice to see you today.
Great to see you too, Chris.
So wanted to start off, can you tell us a little about your experience with the WOTC program and how it's impacted the businesses that you've worked with?
I think our WOTC experience really kicked into high gear about over 20 years ago when we started exploring and mentioning the WOTC to McDonald's franchises. And it really started to we got a great connection in the franchise system and kind of grew and grew such that not only did our McDonald's base grow, but it also allowed us to then introduce us to many other restaurant concepts as well.
So for those that are new to the concept, could you explain what the WOTC program is and why it's particularly relevant to those multi-unit franchise owners?
Well, the WOTC program is essentially an incentive for businesses to hire people who have barriers to employment, people on food stamps, welfare, disabled veterans, people, recent felons. And it's important that businesses know that they can actually earn income tax credits for the people that they probably already hire, or even better, if it gives them the information to say, hey, if I help these people out, it helps them, it helps their families, it helps their community, and it's going to help, on so many levels, it helps so many people by doing this type of activity, the WOTC.
So what are some of those common misconceptions that you might encounter?
The one most common is that the WOTC is difficult. And I would second that by they tried to do WOTC back when it was pretty much all on paper. And now that it's electronically done, it's so much easier for them to get the benefit of the program with basically doing nothing on their end, because all of the interconnectability of the internet has made this so easy to do.
That sounds great. So can you share an example of where your expertise in the WOTC program directly contributed to a franchise's growth or profitability?
Well, it's pretty much across the board in terms of their growth. When you look at a typical franchisee who hires whether 50 or 100 people, that 50 or 100 people that they're going to hire over the course of a year probably turns into $5,000 to $15,000 of tax credits. And that's important in this day and age, especially with increasing food costs and all the other pressures, that they can know that something like this is pretty much running in the background and generating money for them. And I think it's important that I teach and explain to franchise owners that this isn't something you can just ignore, that this is an important baseline for their cash flow and profit management to be able to stay profitable.
Awesome. So what are some of the biggest challenges that franchise owners face when they're implementing the WOTC program, and how can those challenges be overcome?
I think the challenges is getting people to actually, part of this WOTC program is simply asking the applicant or the person about to be hired, are they on food stamps, welfare, et cetera? Sometimes there's some reluctance or they just don't understand the questions. So the resistance is, well, the people aren't going to answer the questions. And the way we've created our survey, it's a very easy to do kind of a survey. It doesn't threaten them. It even explains that this doesn't impact their hiring choices, and the information that they share is not to be shared with the franchise owner. It comes to us. So that, I think, overcomes the resistance possibly to this. And we work with each franchise specifically to find out where they're doing the survey, if it's online, if they send the link to a person's home, if they do it in the restaurant. We find ways to make it work specifically for that franchise to maximize the amount of surveys for the WOTC that get answered.
Excellent. So what are some ways franchise owners can ensure they're not leaving money on the table when it comes to the WOTC program?
I think the thing is to make sure when they do the WOTC that they find a way to roll it out across the system, not just do it if they have 10 units, not just focus on 3 or 4 that they think it might work, to make sure it's working everywhere. Because the more people that they that do the WOTC survey that leads to the credit, the more credit they're going to get. And also, it's important that, and something we do as a baseline is we give feedback each and every period to tell them how compliant they were with the program. So if they hired 15 people this month and we say that only 8 people did the survey, we need to figure out what happened to the other 7 people. We correct that and move forward so they're not losing money by having people not do the survey for whatever reason.
Awesome. So when seeking a service to help with WOTC, what should franchise owners be looking for? And also, how does your service stand out?
I think they need to be looking for simplicity. In this day and age, it's very difficult and complex running a restaurant. So they want to have something where, number one, they're going to get a financial return, and they don't have to have extra work put on their already strained staff. So what we've done is create a survey that pretty much stands alone as a survey that people can do, or if they're using any onboarding system. In this day and age, an onboarding system can add or subtract numerous tasks. We just make sure that they take our link to our survey and embed it in their onboarding system so that they can maximize the value on this. And again, get the benefit with basically doing hardly any work on their end.
Great. And then what's the final piece of advice you might give to franchise owners that are considering leveraging WOTC for the first time?
I think in this day and age, we've all heard about this PPP money and the ERC money. Well, that train has kind of left the station and is behind us. And what's going to replace that in terms of the cash flow impact? The WOTC is an excellent source of profitability in the wake of those programs to make sure that you're maximizing the credit you can and should be getting.
Well, great. Thanks, Jeff. That's really helpful. It was great meeting you today. Wonderful information about WOTC, and I hope the readers enjoyed it. How can the folks following us and watching us today get a hold of you?
Well, through typical email, jeff.newcorn@rjeffrey.com, or they can pick up the phone and call me on my cell phone, 224-420-2846. And most likely I'll be there to pick it up days, nights, and weekends.
Great. Thanks, Jeff.